Shalom, everybody. My name is Dritna Chris Puskar, and I am the National Physical Education Director at the Polish Falcons of America. I know that everybody's at home and you're trying to find some things to do, so I thought I would come up with a craft idea from things that you could use in your house that we could make together today. And since we can't be together in person, this might be a nice way for us to work together on a project. So the first thing that I'm going to do is give you your list of supplies. You're going to need 1 or 2 toilet paper rolls, some glue, some scissors, a green pipe cleaner or a pencil or a straw, something that you could use as a stem of a flower, a ruler and a pencil, and last but not least, I'm going to move this over here so I can show you, a small piece of paper with a yellow circle and colored in the middle. And there's the yellow circle. I put a black rim around it because I wanted you to be able to see it on the screen. You don't have to put that black on there. You can just color a yellow circle. So those are all the supplies you need. Why don't you pause the video and go and get everything you need and bring it back to the table, and then we'll start with the making of the flower. See you in a minute. Okay, hopefully by now you have your supplies. And again, we're going to go over it. Toilet paper rolls, I have 2 in case I need them. Glue. Elmer's glue probably works better, your school glue, rather than a glue stick. Glue stick is hard for to hold the cardboard together. So I have both. A pipe cleaner or a pencil or a straw that you can use for the stem. A pair of scissors, of course, because we're going to be cutting. And the circle, the yellow paper with a yellow circle on it. And you'll need a ruler and a pencil to measure some things. It's not going to be anything hard to measure. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to take one of the paper towel holders. It's not a paper towel holder, it's a toilet paper roll. But you could use a paper towel holder if you wanted to and cut it in half. Then you're going to take it and lay it on the table like so. Put your hands on top and just push down to flatten it out, like so. So instead of having a round, it's flat now, okay? Then you're going to take your roller. What you need to do is get 7 pieces for a petal out of this roll of toilet paper. And that's for skinny flowers. But you could make a fatter one and use the second roll for the rest. But all in all, you need 7 pieces of the toilet paper roll. So I'm going to take my roller, and I decided to make them a 1/2 inch each. So I laid my toilet paper roll on the table, and I put my ruler there. And I used a black marker because I wanted you to be able to see. But I took my black marker, and I made a line on every 1/2 inch mark so that I knew that I would have, and I made 6 lines for 6 pieces. And here's what my roll looks like now. It's got 6 little lines on it. And then I'm going to take my scissors, right here, my scissors, and I'm going to cut on each one of those lines. Try to keep it straight, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And so when I cut it, I'm going to get something that looks like that. So there's 1. Remember, I said we needed 7. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. And here's 6 and 7. So I have, all in all, I have 7 different pieces for my petals. All right. Now I'm going to take 2 of those petals and I'm going to put them on the side because I don't want to use them for my flower. And then I have 5 pieces left. Okay. Now is when you need your glue. So I'm going to take my glue. And we're going to glue these petals together. So I kind of folded it a little bit tighter. I'm going to take my paper, and just at the end, I'm going to put a little dot of glue. And then I'm going to take my second piece side to side, and I'm going to glue those 2 edges together. And I'm going to hold them for a second. The bottoms are open, and the tops will be glued together. I'm going to hold them for a second. Then I'm going to put some more glue on top of this one. And I'm going to take my its third petal and glue it onto that, and keep holding them in between. And then I'm going to take my fourth petal and glue it onto that. And of course, you probably guessed by now, you're going to take the fifth petal and glue it onto that. Now, anytime during this, if I'm going too fast, you can feel free to pause the video and take care of that part of the flower, and then we'll come back and we'll continue on. Now, I'm holding this for a while because it takes the glue a minute to set, and so I don't want them to come apart. But right now you have 5 pieces stuck together at one end. And I'm holding them until they're pretty much set. Once they are set and I let go, it kind of pops open. So what you're going to do is you're going to start at one end. You're going to hold that part that you glued together in your hand between two fingers. And you're going to take your finger and just push down a little bit on the other end, and that'll pop open. Push on the other end, and that'll pop open. Push on the next one. It'll just keep popping open until, boom. Then you might have to switch hands. Push on the top, boom. You have a flower. Can everybody see that? You have a flower, and 2 of the pieces are open at the bottom. This is where you'll need your pipe cleaner or your pencil, whichever you're using. You're going to take your pipe cleaner, and I'll show you first that you're going to slide it in there and then glue those pieces together. Okay? I would take my glue and put it on the inside, up at the top, on both sides of those 2 petals. So I put it on this side, on this petal, and this side on this petal. And then I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, which I know it's hard to see that pipe cleaner. Take my pipe cleaner, I'm going to put it in the middle of those 2 and squeeze. And hold that together until it stays glued. That might take a minute. So I'm holding it together and holding it together until that pipe cleaner stays stuck in there. So while we're waiting for that to stay stuck, what have you been doing the last 2 weeks? How's homeschooling going? Is Mom doing a good job or Dad doing a good job of homeschooling you? Are you having fun? Hopefully you'll get a chance to get outside and run around and do some silly stuff too. Okay, I think that's probably long enough. That should be holding, and there you have that your flower is connected to your stem. We have our 2 petals. We have our 5 petals on our stem, and then we have our 2 leaves left. The leaves are a little bit harder to work with, so I'm going to suggest that you lay your flower down on the table. Then you take your petal. I'm sorry, I keep calling them petals. These are the leaves now. We're going to put some glue at the bottom edge of this leaf, and then I'm going to take the other leaf and do the same thing. And then I'm going to lay them on their side, right like that, and put the other one directly across from it. And I'll show you this. And then I'm going to squeeze those leaves together. So I'm squeezing them together so that they stick. And that glue gets sticky enough to hold those 2 leaves on. So one leaf goes on one side, one leaf goes on the other with the stem in the middle, and you hold that spot until they are good and dry. And that might take a minute. Like I said, remember, we have to be a little patient, right? So this is where our patience comes in, to hold those leaves so that they don't come apart. And when you're done, there you have your flower with its petals and its leaves, 2 leaves on the side. Only one thing left to do, and that's good because this will give the leaves a chance to dry a little bit also. So just let your flower lay down. Make sure your leaves are still stuck on there. Now's when you need your yellow center of your circle. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out this circle all the way around the edge. And then I'm going to use my Elmer's. I'm not going to use my Elmer's glue on this one. I'm going to use my glue stick. And I'm going to put glue all over the back of my yellow circle. So I got my glue stick and I'm putting glue. Oh, it's stuck on the top of my glue stick. And then while my flower is still laying on the table, I'm going to pull it over here so that I can reach it. I'm going to take my yellow circle and I'm going to glue it right in the middle of my flower by holding it down for a second. Uh-oh, must not have put enough glue stick on. Push down on it. And there you have your completed flower with the centerpiece. Now, if these leaves are too hard and you don't want to do them, just don't use them. If you think 5 petals isn't enough and you want to add 6 or 7 and make them a little skinnier, go ahead and do that. Experiment. Try some different things. I have this one that I just made now, and then I have this one that I made earlier today, and then I also have one that I did on a pencil, and the one on a pencil might be nice if you had a little plant pot with some dirt in it. You could just stick your pencil in there and have a pot, or you could get another paper towel holder, cover it with designs, and set your flower in there. You just might have to get something to hold that up. But you can put your flower in a flower pot. Another thing that I did is I also made a flower like this today. And as you can see, the edges of it are kind of green and white. What I did was I had some wrapping paper in the drawer. So I took a piece of wrapping paper and I cut it out into a rectangle like this. Now, the thing you want to remember about the paper is you have to cover completely the whole one side of it so that it sticks completely to your other toilet paper roll. So I'm going to take a glue stick because this is just thin paper and a glue stick works just fine. But you got to make sure you get all the way to the edges, and you have to cover the whole entire sheet all the way to the edges so that every piece of the paper sticks onto the roll, because if it doesn't stick, then it might come off while you're cutting things out. So I did the whole sheet. So the whole back of my piece of tissue paper, or that's another thing I was going to say. You can use wrapping paper or tissue paper. This is wrapping paper, and the whole back is covered so that the whole thing sticks. And I'm going to start with a straight edge right down at the edge of my roll. And I'm going to make sure that that's glued on, and I'm just going to keep pushing it down and wrapping it so that it all gets glued down. And even if you go over top of the already glued down paper, that's fine. It won't matter until the whole sheet is completely stuck on my toilet paper roll. And there you have it. I have a roll. Now, if you look inside here, you can see that the edges aren't quite straight with the toilet paper roll. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off all the extra paper, which might stick to your scissors because it has glue on, but that's okay. You can get it off. And just go around the top so that it looks like that. You have your roll. And then what do? We start all over again. Take this, lay it down on the table, put your hands on top and press down. Make your lines and cut your strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this time, instead of them being brown, they have your green design on it. Or if you decide to use yellow tissue paper, they'll have your yellow tissue paper. Or if you decide that you just want to take a marker and color them, you can do that too, and it'll be that color on the outside when you put your petals together, and you might end up with something that looks a little bit like that. So that's just another twist on how to make the original flower we started with, which was this one right here. Very pretty flower. You can make a flower. Make one for Mom. Tell her you love her. Make one for Grandma. Tell her you love her. Whoever you'd like to make them for. Another thing that you can do with these is you can glue them onto a big piece of cardboard and make a whole scene with flowers at the bottom and put a sunset or a sunshine in there, shining down on the flowers so it's a bright sunny day. So that's how we make our craft flowers with Drutna Chris today. Now I have one more challenge for you that takes you outside or out in the garage, somewhere where you can do a little bit of physical activity too. I want to get you outside too. So first of all, I want you to practice your jump roping and then ask mom or dad or your brother or your sister to time you for 1 minute. You're going to jump rope for 1 minute and they're going to count how many times you jump. And we'll see how many times you can jump in 1 minute. And then you're going to do the same thing, but only this time you're going to do jumping jacks. Now, if you don't know how to do jumping jacks, ask mom or dad. I know they know how to do jumping jacks. And they can help you, or your brother or your sister. Anybody can help you learn how to do a jumping jack. Practice till you get it down, and then do the same thing. Ask somebody to time you for 1 minute and count how many times you can do jumping jacks in 1 minute. And we'd love to hear from you to see how many you did. So when you tell me, send me your name and your age and how many times you jump rope and how many times you did jumping jacks in 1 minute. And then we'll get a list on our webpage so that everybody can see how old you are and how good of a jump roper and a jumping jack person you are. So, and we also would love to see some pictures of your flowers that you made and what you ended up doing with them, if you put them in a vase or you made a big picture out of them, whatever you decided to do with them. I'd love to see what they look like. So please send us a picture so that we can see what your craft turned out to be. Well, I think that's it for today. So please join me again. In a few days, I'll come up with another craft of some things that I found at home that we can put together to make something really nice out of. In the meantime, stay healthy, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and have fun with your family while you're at home. Ciao.